Hello and welcome to the ANP podcast, the official broadcasting network of National Petroleum Authority. I am your host, Maya. We are very excited to have you join us today as we dive into Timor Leste's energy sectors. Every episode, we bring you the latest insights and updates from this dynamic landscape. So whether you are an industry professional, a curious listener, or someone eager to know more about energy development in our region, this podcast is for you. In today's episode, we will explore the growth and impact of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE in Timor Leste, as you may already know. So we are pleased to have and welcome Mr. Steve McBride from SPE Western Australia, Mr. Fernando da Silva, Chairman of the SPE Timor Leste Professional Section, and Ms. Laurita Boavida, President of the SPE Timor Leste Student Chapter. Let's dive right in. So, welcome everyone. Bom dia, boa tarde. Bom dia, boa tarde. So, how are you all today?
Very good, thank you.
Very good. Mana Laurita? Thank you. And Fernando?
Very good, thank you.
Great. Let's we start with introduce yourself first. Maybe I'll begin with Mr. Steve McBride.
Okay, bom dia, everyone. Steve McBride. I was brought up in Northern Ireland. I went to university in Edinburgh, in Scotland. Worked a little bit in the oil and gas industry in the UK and also Africa, a few countries in Africa. And in the early 90s, I was sent out to East Malaysia, Sarawak, to work. And basically, I stayed in Asia Pacific for the last 35 years or so. Of course, initially I was working offshore, and eventually I ended up in Australia, where I live now. But I joined SPE. I didn't have a choice. My manager joined me when I was working in the field in 1991. And of course, I didn't do very much, but it was more when I went into management, then I became more involved in SPE.
Wonderful. Mana Laurita?
Thank you, Mana. My name is Laurita Bovida. I'm a petroleum engineering student at the Institute of Technology. Currently, I'm served as the president of Society Petroleum Engineers Student Chapter in Timor Leste.
Thank you. And Mr. Fernando?
Thank you. My name is Fernando da Silva. I completed my study in Indonesia and pursued my master's degree in Italy, and recently I also concluded my master's degree from the Aberdeen University, the commissioning side. Started working with a professional career in oil and gas industry with ENI back in 2011, and then after that I joined Timor Gap, and then in 2017 I joined ANP to date. In 2024 I was appointed as first Timor Leste Society of Petroleum Engineers chairperson. And to date, still with the colleagues of SPE Timor Leste, still running this particular program in Timor Leste. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I'll start again with Mr. Steve. Can you start by telling us about the Society Petroleum Engineers International and your roles within the both SPE International and SPE Western Australia?
Okay, sure. So SPE is probably the largest energy society or association in the world. Currently about 130,000 members across most habitable nations in the world. And that's broken down into professional sections. So we got about 200 professional sections, such as my own Western Australia and Senior Fernando's here, Timor Leste section. And then we have roughly 400 student chapters. So like in Perth, for example, there are 3 student chapters, UWA, Curtin, and ECU. Here, there's only 1 student chapter, but in Indonesia, as another example, you have the Java section in Jakarta, and they actually look after 12 different student sections right across the island of Java, all different universities. So, and the SPE it's got a number of benefits and major objectives. One of the greatest is the access to technical resources. They provide extremely comprehensive online technical papers via something called One Petro with some other societies. Also, they run different types of events, from like small workshops, maybe 50 people, symposiums around about 100 people or so. Then you have conferences, and then and these are all can be on specific technical areas. A conference is more wide-ranging. And then, of course, you have mega events like IPTC and OTC Asia, which SPE usually runs in conjunction with other societies. So that's really a bit of an introduction about SPE and the networking opportunities in these events. Yeah, and then the other two areas, one is professional development. SPE provides training and certification. And then, of course, there's recognition and awards, so that they give out awards, technical awards to members around the world and to sections and to chapters. My own involvement, I mentioned earlier that I was kind of joined into SPE by my manager when I was working offshore in Indonesia. I didn't really do that much until the late 90s when I came back into a management role, and I started to serve on technical program committees and different events around Asia. And I helped with some of the professional sections, just a little bit in the likes of Malaysia and Vietnam and Myanmar. But it's really when I went to Thailand in 2013. I was the GM for a major service company for Southeast Asia, and I became the program chair of the Thailand section. Now, each section has many different board members. They have different responsibilities. The program chair is responsible for finding speakers that will come and talk at the section for the benefit of the members. So I actually did that role for 7 years, from 2013 to 2020. But at the same time, I was also nominated to serve on the SPE Distinguished Lecturer Committee, which is about 55 people around the world that about 100 people apply, 100 and 150 people apply to be distinguished lecturers. And the committee reduces that to about 60, and then the final 30, and those 30 distinguished lecturers are sent out around the world to speak to the professional sections. And as you probably know, we have had 2 of those DLs here in the last few days, speaking firstly to the students and then to the professional section last evening. So I've had that took up a lot of my time and effort over 8 years. I went on to serve on the leadership team and became the chair of the Distinguished Lecturer Committee in 2024. And I just I rolled off that committee at the end of last year. So in the middle of all that, Maya, I moved from Thailand to Australia in 2020. So I joined the Western Australian section initially as the secretary, and then I became the chair of the section. And it was during this time that I started taking an interest in Timor Leste. But that's really the answer to your first question, the intro to SPE, and also my major roles in SPE.
See, you have quite a lot of experience in this SPE itself. Now, especially for Timor Leste, I believe that you've been playing a crucial role in establishing an SPE chapter in Timor Leste. How did SPE Western Australia first get involved in supporting this initiative here? Yeah.
Well, it is a long story. It's also a good story. But
Okay.
back in 2021, believe it or not, I was having a coffee with somebody in Perth, and they told me that there was at least 1,000 petroleum engineering and geology students in Dili. And I was extremely surprised, and I said, whoa. And, I learned there was maybe 10 universities at the time. And I was also quite embarrassed because at that stage, I'd spent 30 years. I came to Asia Pacific in 1991. So I'd spent 30 years. I'd worked in most of the countries or lived in most of the countries of Southeast Asia, and I did not know anything about Timor Leste, except when I saw on the news, back in the 90s. And so I tried to, improve my knowledge, find out what was going on. I started to speak to the universities. Mon Antonio, who manages Woodside here in Timor Leste, he actually set up an online Teams call to speak to some of the professors from the 4 universities, DIT, UNTL, UNDIL, and UNITAL. And that way I learned that, yes, there was definitely students here. And so it was probably worth exploring. And then I was introduced to the previous Minister of Petroleum who came to Perth to market some of the mining opportunities. And also Ambassador Ines, who resides in Canberra, Australia, Timor-Leste's ambassador to Australia. And they encouraged me to come to Timor-Leste on an exploratory trip to find out some more. So I did come here. That was back in October 2022. I spoke at the 4 universities to about 200 students at each one. I did a talk for RILA, Rotary Club. And one of the key objectives of that trip was to introduce SPE to the students and also give them information about how they could join the student members, because until this year, Chevron is one of the main sponsors of student fees, the annual fees to be a student member. And so within a few months, we had actually 300 student members in Timor-Leste, and actually within 6 months, we had 700 members, which is like remarkable. And then I helped select an initial student officer group, where it's basically the leaders. And I supported them in applying to actually become an official chapter. Now, one of the early challenges was that normally there is a professional section established first of all that supports the student chapter. As I mentioned, in Western Australia we support 3 students, but there was only 1 or 2 professional members of SPE in Timor-Leste at that time. So I asked special permission from SPE, could we support a new Timor-Leste student chapter from Perth, even though it's 3,000 kilometers away. So thankfully, I got the green light. We got the support, so we put in a nomination, and on May 23, we had an official launch ceremony at UNTL Hera. We were graced by the presence of President Jose Ramos Horta. He was extremely humble and very kind. He actually stayed with us for 4 hours, and he thought this was a great thing for the students. So that's where the whole student chapter took off, and that's how the whole thing started, really.
That's very exciting. I think it's the way you say that before you didn't know about Timor-Leste. It's kind of like led me like curiosity to know more about how did you find Timor-Leste when you know that this country exists, and then actually you go here. Your personal thought of Timor-Leste.
Yeah, when I first came here, I used to work on exploration, oil and gas exploration product in very remote parts of Indonesia. And when I first came here, I had the feelings that it was like taking me back to the early 90s when I used to go to Irian Jaya and quite remote parts of Sumatra in Western Indonesia. So, but the one thing, that struck me is that, there was limited opportunities here. Yeah. And that's why when I came on that exploratory trip, I went away kind of very determined to try and help, because there's a lot of students here because they see a lot of the GDP back then, 4 or 5 years ago. I think 85% of the country's GDP was driven like by the Bayu Undan field. And consequently, that's the reason why there were so many students thought that there was a career. And I still think petroleum engineering and geology is a very good foundation for many different careers. in any side of energy. So it's not a waste. It's good that, and President Jose Ramos Horta said the same thing. He said this can provide a strong platform to work in many different areas of energy and science.
Okay.
But still, the people are extremely friendly. They're eager to learn. They want to listen. They're crying out for more information and to learn about different technologies and to learn about the world, because a very high percentage of your population has never been outside Timor Leste before.
Yeah. So, how did you feel when you finally launched or established the official student chapter here in Timor Leste?
Oh, I felt wonderful. There's always, it went extremely well, and we embarked upon several different initiatives to help the students. That I can talk about those if you'd like.
Okay.
So we decided, there was two main ways to help the students. First of all, it's a very high volume of students, so it's impossible to try and help all of them in different ways.
Yeah.
So we decided that the main thrust of SPE Western Australia, helping the students in Timor Leste, firstly, we would come here once a quarter and try to run a quarterly meeting for as many students as we can. So the main headquarters for our meeting, thanks to the dean at FECT, the campus in Hera, he's been very kind and generous, allowing us to use the auditorium there, which holds 500 students. So the meeting yesterday, so I was actually tallying up. We've done 12 of those quarterly meetings now, starting with the first one with President Jose Ramos Horta. Until yesterday, we've run 12 separate meetings, so 3 or 4 per year for the students of Timor Leste. And that gives a chance for a lot of students, one, to interact. For example, yesterday it was 2 SPE distinguished lecturers. And I always give a bit of an update about what SPE is doing as well. So it gives a chance for a very large volume of students to understand more about the world and perhaps some of the opportunities that exist.
Yeah, agree.
And then on top of that, obviously for a smaller number of students, so to kick this whole thing up, of course, we needed some sponsorship. So I went out to many of the oil and gas and service companies in Perth who already sponsored Western Australia. Some of them were already involved with Timor. So they were extremely supportive, I'd have to say. So I come up with the plan, and talking with the minister, my experience in Asia, and my wife's Asian as well, that in Perth, the scholarships that we give to Western Australian students, we just give some money. But with many Asian cultures, if you give $1,000, they might give $950 to their family and keep $50 for themselves. So actually, I had a long chat with the previous minister, and we agreed that we need to offer the students something material, something that they will remember, and something that will benefit them. So based on the sponsorship that we get from each company, we agreed and we felt it was the right thing to do. So we bring a scholarship winner to Perth for 1 week, and we give them half a day in Woodside, half a day.
How many of them?
Well, it varies. I'll talk about that in a second. But we bring them to Perth. They have half a day in each of our sponsors' offices, and then we have an official ceremony to hand over the certificate. But we also give them a laptop computer, which is something they can keep and remember. And we also give them a little bit of cash so that they can buy some things in Australia. Now, this year is a record year for sponsorship. We have 15 sponsors and 1 supporter. So first year we awarded 12 scholarships. 24 and 25 we awarded 14 scholarships each. This year is a record year. We've awarded 18. So I've just arranged the
Wow.
travel for the students. They will be coming to Perth in September. So total, by the end of this year, we will have brought 58 students, Timorese students, to Perth. So obviously a much smaller number than can benefit the technical meetings than we have in Dili, but at least we're trying to do our bit. That exposes them to Australia and exposes them to the SPE network, the global network, and gives them some, gives them some opportunity, and they can see what exists outside Timor Leste. The vast majority, some of them may have been to Kupang or West Timor, but the vast majority have never been overseas before.
Okay, that's fantastic. I would like to have touch on that again, but let me just, I'm curious to Mana Laurita. As a student, did you actually like know and aware of that, the launch of the establish of the student chapter itself when it was in 2023, you say? Yeah. So as a student back there, do you know?
So as a student back there at 2023, I just started my study at the Institute of Technology, majoring petroleum engineering. So that was my first time joining SPE as the student membership. Yeah, it helped by the officers back then, Mana Inertia and the officers. We do the online registration to join the SPE as the membership, and it's free because it has, as Mr. Steve already mentioned, it's paid by the Chevron, the Chevron companies. So we just joined the SPE, and after I joined the SPE, I actively attended the seminar that always held in Timor Leste. For instance, like 1 year can hold 3 or 4 quarterly meeting, technical meeting at HERA.
That's very good. So you joined at the very first when this SPE launched.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. That's good. Let me, for Mr. Fernando, as a chairman of the SPE, we've been talking about the student chapter, but we also would like to know about the SPE professional as well. So, Mr. Fernando, as the chairman of the SPE Timor Leste professional section, can you give us a brief history of SPE in Timor Leste and its mission today?
Thank you for the question. It's another long history, but I think it's also not difficult to share the history.
We are here to listen.
Probably just to continue on what Steve has just mentioned about the establishment of the student chapter. Comments from 2023, where the student chapter started with its activities in Timor-Leste. From a professional point of view, we observed that the chapter activities has been progressively very mature, and we also observe the Timor-Leste chapters, the students from 4 different universities continues to increase. And we see the opportunities from the professional side, where, like what Steve just mentioned, back then there were only 2 professional members. And coming to 2024, we were of the view that doing a kind of observations here in Timor-Leste throughout the professional industries here in Timor-Leste, and we found that many people actually understand about the presence of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, but they actually don't really know about how to be the membership, how to enroll, becomes a member of Society of Petroleum Engineers. And I think I have to appreciate the continued support from Society of Petroleum Engineers Western Australia, with the presence of Steve in the various discussions with our leadership here, involving the president of ANP and president of Timor Gap, as well as the ministers. We then set up a kind of a meeting to ensure that if we already have the chapter established, then we should start thinking about the professional section, in which to ensure that there should be an umbrella to ensure that a section looking after the chapter and providing a guarantee for the continuity of this particular activities in the future. In 2024, then we started discussions with various stakeholders, as what I've just mentioned. And we then carried out a consultations with the numerous industries in Timor-Leste, with the companies, always with the very close collaborative with the Society of Petroleum Engineers Western Australia, seeking the guidance from their side and considering about how to provide a petition to the SPE International. We need to consider that to establish a section in one country or in a region, it has to get an approval from Society of Petroleum Engineers International. So what we did back then we, upon the consultations with the numerous industries, then we submitted a petition to SPE International. If I recall myself, the petition was submitted early June 2024, and then we received an approval in 15 June 20, acknowledged by the SPE International President for the establishment of SPE Timor-Leste on 15 June 2024. Following the approval, you know that Timor-Leste regulation require if you have an association established, a society like this established, we need to proceed with this registration to our through the Minister of Justice, and that took around 2-3 months like that. And the official launch and inauguration ceremony of this particular section was held in November 2024, with attended by Minister of Petroleum and Mineral, His Excellency Mr. Francisco Monteiro, and with some leadership of the companies here in Timor-Leste. And I also have to acknowledge the presence of SPE International, also SPE Western Australia, and also the Ambassador of Australia in Timor-Leste. It marks a great milestone in the history of Timor-Leste, with the presence of SPE Timor-Leste sections at that time.
I can see that's,
Just one thing I wanted to ask Fernando. So one of the key conditions to form a professional section is you need to have a minimum of 25 members. So as Fernando and I have already said, back in 21, 22, there was only 2 professional members. So a lot of when we were planning this launch, and with the kind support of Senior Dino here at ANP, we had to lobby a lot of people to join SPE. Senior Rui at Timor Gap helped, Senior Dino helped encourage some of their own employees to join. And then I think by the time you lodged the petition in the middle of 2024, we've got about 30 to 35 professional members already. So that met the key condition that SPE International sets to actually nominate a petition to form a section.
That's the one that I was about to say, that it's quite like a short timeline to get this launch. So it's that's why I'm wondering, is there any significant challenges during this period of establish that SPE?
Well, I should acknowledge the contributions from numerous industries in Timor-Leste throughout the consultations with the company like Santos, ENI, Timor Resources, Sundagas, Woodside, and the companies, Timor Gap, of course, and with the support from our leadership, like what Steve has just mentioned, from President Dino and also President Rui. They actually encourage the staff to register themselves, the membership of the SPE, that actually boosting the membership increase to 30. And not only limited to that particular, but then throughout the years, the membership continues to increase to ensure that there is this continuity and sustainability in terms of the presence of SPE in Timor-Leste.
Okay, so there were the key stakeholders involved. That's all that you mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, congratulations. That's very good, fantastic initiative. Yeah, and that I also like to know why it is important to establish the SPE Timor-Leste section at this stage of Timor-Leste's energy development.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'll speak first, but it's not a normal situation. I had to get special approval to support the establishment of the chapter remotely from Perth. So normally the professional section supporting the chapter will be in the
Yeah.
same city, or in
Mm.
the case of Indonesia, it's close by. So our ultimate goal here is that now that the section is firmly established, I mean, Fernando and one of the board of directors and works on Fernando's board is the membership chair.
Mm.
There's different positions like treasurer,
Yeah.
the program
Oh,
chair,
yeah.
or organize the meeting. So the membership chair is Mr. David Lawson
Mm.
from MPRM, and the membership's steadily growing. I think you're up to about 60 or 70 members now.
Mm.
But importantly, it's vital for us, Western Australia, to hand over responsibility of the student chapter
Mm.
in Timor Leste to the Timor Leste section.
Mm.
We can still provide some support, and getting the funding from the companies in Perth for the scholarships to bring the students. That we have, Fernando and myself have agreed that Western Australia will still look after that responsibility. We get the funding, we set up the 1 week visit, we arrange the travel, and that be very difficult to do from Timor.
Mm.
So, but as regards the quarterly meetings and other activities, we're in the process right now
Mm.
of handing that responsibility from SPE Western Australia to SPE Timor Leste.
That actually lead me back to the number of the members that you mentioned, that increased from 2 to 30 people. Now I just curious, what is there any specific required to the member of the SPE or professional chapter,
Yeah, I mean, there are
or the
guidelines.
criteria?
Yeah, I mean, normally, they're a little bit loose. There's some flexibility there.
Oh, okay.
Normally, it's somebody who works in the industry, but and we have 8 disciplines within SPA.
Okay.
So drilling, completions, asset management, production operations,
I see.
HSE,
Okay.
etc., and normally, and those each have their own technical sections.
Mm.
So members can actually gain a lot of new knowledge by enrolling as an SPE member. But there are some guidelines about membership, but we also have other people just interested in the industry
Mm.
that may not be necessarily fully qualified that still join SPE because they can get benefit
Yeah.
out of coming to the meetings and learning from the speakers, such as the meeting that Senior Fernando organized last night.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And I think
You may add.
most people are of the view that the Society of Petroleum Engineers are only limited to the petroleum engineers.
Yeah.
Something that we need to share also with the audience and with the some professionals, that the Society of Petroleum Engineers is obviously also open for those from other disciplines as well.
Mm.
Particularly for the professional sections, we need the membership from the environment background. We also need the membership from other disciplines as well to ensure enriching this particular
Mm.
society. And as I said, the SPE should be a technical hub for the knowledge sharing, the sharing of expertise from different background disciplines. It's always important that all the members taking the opportunity of this particular platform, ensuring that people share to each other their experience. Look in the context of Timor Leste now, we've been producing from Bayundan for about more than 21, 22 years. A lot of lessons learned we gain from these particular operations. Commence from explorations, drilling, development, towards production, and now some of the wells we're entering to decommissioning. The treasures of these particular operations is the lessons. The important is to share with other people as well. So we are expecting that by establishing SPE Timor Leste, this becomes the house of every professional to share the expertise and the knowledge.
Okay, that's great. So looking at your effort in establishing this professional SPE, as you already mentioned, you expecting this to be a hub. Is there any other important reason to establish this SPE section at this stage in the Timor Leste's energy development currently?
Well, I mean, for example, there is a very large development, which is, you know, that is Greater Sunrise, you know, Woodside, Timor Gap, and Osaka Gas, and it's one of the significant benefits of SPA is bringing new technology and new ideas from around the world because of the resource base. The events, as I mentioned earlier, share the knowledge. So I think that's an important aspect that can bring this information to Timorese students. And once those students graduate and they progress through like what we call young professionals in SPE, anybody under 35 is regarded as a young professional, and we have a specific group in Perth in Australia. We have a young professionals group as well. That's something that perhaps Fernando and his board can consider in the future once you get a critical mass of members. You know, how many young people do we have? Because, you know, last night it was great for me to see some of the students that I worked with 4 years ago. They now graduated, and Senior Fernando has got them on his board of directors in the professional section. And, you know, they're essentially young professionals. So in Perth, the young professionals organize their own meetings. There's quite a few social meetings, like they go bowling. They meet up for social events, just some drinks to share ideas. Maybe they get a speaker in to just talk socially at a nice venue down by the seafront on the beach or something, you know. And it makes it more appealing to Gen Z, and you know. So so there's this stepping stone approach, and that's very important to keep the momentum. And it's you know, it's very fulfilling for me to see that progress. And these students, they graduated, and there's a key thing about in SPE that doesn't get communicated very well. And a student member, I hope some students watch this podcast, but before a student graduates, if they join SPE Professional, when they're a student member, they get the first year of membership for free. It's complimentary.
Wow.
Because the difference in student, as a student, they don't currently pay anything. Then professional membership, you know, that's a step up. But if they apply to join as a professional while they're still at the end of their, just before they graduate, they get the first year membership free.
Wow, that's a great opportunity. I'm pretty sure the student might listen to this podcast. Yeah, you mentioned about the events. Just wondering what major activities that has the SPE Timor Leste section being organized so far. Yeah.
I think when we established, I mentioned this last night when we had a technical conference. Said that when we firstly established these sections, the requirement from SPE International, considering the newly established section in Timor Leste, we were asked not to do kind of big events because of the limitations we had, but we must appreciate the support from SPE Western Australia and the leadership here in Timor Leste and our main sponsors here in Timor Leste, providing us an opportunity to also run certain technical meetings. Last year we had 3 or 4 technical meetings at the professional level, inviting numerous attendees from different companies and also ministers and also relevant civil societies and regulators like ANP attending that particular technical meetings. The opportunities from distinguished lecturers to share their knowledge about matters pertaining to the explorations, productions, and not to mention the decommissioning, drilling, etc. Those are the very important activities that we carried out last year. And this year we continue to do so. Like yesterday, we had 2 distinguished lecturers visiting Timor Leste. We took an opportunity to also share the knowledge with the professional section and professional membership as well. Apart from this particular professional technical conference that we have, we also run kind of social activities. We run kind of energy forming activities, like what Steve has just mentioned. Our young, young professionals, newly graduate engineering, they actually perform certain activities, kind of oil and gas introductions seminars to the senior high schools, and also relevant civil societies, just to share that these are the prospect, this kind of introduction of oil and gas industries in Timor Leste.
Sorry, so you mentioned senior high school. Like,
Yes.
why you target this?
Well, people, we don't want to only wait until people come to the university and understand about what is the energy itself. We want to also not only to share the knowledge of oil and gas industry, but we also would like to share with them about what is the energy transition, energy expansion. When it comes to the oil and gas industry, we only limit our scope to this particular matters. But when you try to expand your understanding to the energy itself, there are a lot of components within that particular introduction. So we would like to share with them, and then invest in these people to be aware of what is energy itself. So that is the main objective for our series. Steve, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, I would like to just paint a little bit of a picture in the Australian context. That's completely different here, but you know, our industry faced quite a lot of opposition and headwinds in Australia. We have a lot of protesters because of petroleum. And consequently, you know, one of the challenges is ensuring that we still have enough engineers in the future, because, you know, like it or not, we are still going to be reliant upon petroleum and gas, fossil fuels, for a very long time. And, you know, right now there's a shortage of petroleum engineers in Australia. As President Jose Ramos Horta correctly pointed out himself, petroleum engineers, even if we didn't need it, they still have a very good foundation, and that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So one of the main reasons why our section and the Timor Leste section would go to high schools is, you know, there's a lot of children, they're not sure what they want to do. And even if they said, wow, oil and gas people fly around the world, and we can go from Timor to Australia and maybe Indonesia and Malaysia. That's not going to happen if they're, you know, in Australia, some parents will talk to their children and say, hey, we don't want you to go into the energy industry or oil and gas specifically. And I think educating high school students via really fantastic initiatives that SPE have, Energy for Me, it explains to the high school students what energy is about, why it's important, why it's absolutely essential for the future. And then they can make their own choice. Hey, maybe I want to be a doctor, maybe I want to be a petroleum engineer, you know, that they're at that decision in life. But it's really important, and this is a subject very close to my heart, which I call energy literacy. And that's, I lived in Thailand for 7 years. There was groups, global protest groups, I won't mention the name, that pay people to protest against the industry. Australia faces a different problem because you have very educated people trying to persuade their children not to go into oil and gas, but it's important we still sustain that level. In fact, you know, you have this imbalance. So here you have Timor Leste with hundreds of graduates every year. And one of my main objectives is to try and get more of the Timorese interns into the industry in Australia, because there's a shortage there.
That's fantastic. Let's hear. I would like to hear directly from the students' perspective itself. So, what do you think about this, Mana Laurita? Try to get as early as possible for the student, high school student.
So actually, we work close with the SPE Timor Leste section. We always go outreach to the secondary school, high school students. This year we've been to 5 or 6, about 6 different high school in Dili and also outside Dili in the rural areas. We went to Venlale, and we've seen that so many students, they still didn't get about what energy means. They do study about geology, but the only thing is they only stuck on the geology and oil and gas. They didn't understand about the energy transition itself. Yeah. So that's why when we go to all the secondary school, after we do the presentation of sharing some knowledge about the energy industry, oil and gas, and after that we gave them a book, Energy for Me book, to them, to the school, so they can learn from the book.
Okay. Well, I just would like to know, if you put your shoes into the high school, like what exactly you really feel like if you are them in the high school, getting started to know about this, what the benefit you feel that
Benefit I feel after joining the SPE.
I mean, if you imagine, like you are in their shoes, if in the high school, because for myself, I didn't get this much of opportunity. But right now, like listen to this benefit, I feel like this could be, if I was there, maybe I'll choose to study about petroleum, but I didn't know about the petroleum, so I did study something else. So I just want to know, as a president of the student chapter, if you put your shoes in the high school right now, imagine if you are in the Benilale or Bocao, if this bring to you, what the benefit you think that this knowledge earlier before you finish high school.
So for me, when I'm in the high school student, I put myself in the position as the high school student. I think that will be great, because as the high school student, most of the high school student and back in the era, also me, we only know the job opportunity only for a doctor, for a finance. I'm not really know about the petroleum industry or the energy industry itself. So back then, I have a dream to becoming a geology also when I am in the secondary school, but I only know that geology, when you study about geology, you only study about the petroleum or the oil and gas thing, not the energy thing, like now the energy transition. And also when we reach to the students, like we open the opportunity to tell them that there is a job opportunity in the oil and gas industry, in the energy industry for them itself.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Mana Laurita. From this conversation, those sounds like very impactful initiative. So can you share some of the challenges, back to Mr. Fernando, the challenges for the SPE Timor Leste section has faced implementing the program, and how you have addressed these challenges?
When I try to explain about the challenges, I always look into the opportunity first, and then assess the challenges.
That's a good
accordingly.
start.
But then, yeah. So the SPE, as I just mentioned, it's a great opportunities for the professionals to share the knowledge and share the lessons, and also share the technical industries with each other. It's a great opportunity in the sense that it's a hub for a networking of each of the professionals. The challenge that we are facing nowadays is obviously the membership. It's to manage the membership. There are still many professionals in Timor which they are lack of the understanding and very limited knowledge about the Society of Petroleum Engineers, the benefit they would be able to achieve in terms of being a membership. And from our side, as the SPE Timor Leste section, we would like to continue sharing with the other professional industries here in Timor Leste, for them to be aware of what is the benefit of being a member of the SPE, Society of Petroleum Engineers. Like what Steve has just mentioned, there are a lot of technical papers that you actually access to when you become members of SPE. and these are very important that we need to share. Another challenges is obviously, if I refer to, is getting all the professionals together in one room for sharing is not really easy. Looking into the context of people has its own priority to work on. So we are still working towards the possibility of sharing this particular benefit to all the employees, all the industries professionals in Timor Leste, for them to be aware of the benefit. And then we are grateful to see that as the newly established section here in Timor Leste, we have just established for the 2 years now. People are the growing is in place, and then people are aware of these particular industries, and look forward to see more membership to come from the relevant industries here in Timor Leste. As I mentioned, limited understanding of Society of Petroleum Engineers. This is not only for the petroleum engineers, but also for all the related disciplines, which is very important to be aware of.
Yeah. Is there any future plans for the SPE Timor Leste section?
We would like to maintain the positive impact that we have now so far, and continue the activities that we have. In the long run, we would like to continue having a collaborative works with our nearby Society of Petroleum Engineers sections here in the region. The Society of Petroleum Engineers Timor Leste is also part of the SPE Council within the region, which is also composed of Australian, several sections in Australia and New Zealand, Papua New Guinea.
Sorry, can you come again? SPE.
The
Oh.
Australasia Council.
Australasia Council.
So Timor Leste is also part of that. We are aiming to work together with them, particularly with the support of SPE Western Australia, to ensure that in the near future we hopefully also to establish a kind of international conference here in Timor Leste, so that again bringing the context of Timor Leste to international industries that we are also exist, and SPE Timor Leste also exist, with the various professionals in Timor Leste being part of this particular section.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Sif?
Not really, but as a final comment from my perspective, I've mentioned, seeing the previous students last night that have graduated and progressed into the professional section. But one of the major challenges is, I mentioned including 2026, we will have brought 58 Timorese students to Perth. And, that is a huge high for them. Many of them never been overseas before. Lorita came last year, and, they have a fantastic time. They make lots of new contacts, but then they come back to Timor-Leste again. And I guess the question is, well, what now? What happens now? And I'm constantly thinking, well, what more can we do? We've already done quite a lot, but some of the very positive outcomes is, I met one of the students last night. She's got a job with Timor Resources, which is great. Another one's got a job with a major service company. But it would be great if some of the larger companies would consider taking on more interns, and perhaps bringing them to Perth or wherever they might be, their headquarters is, and creating a pathway for the students. So there's a few things still to work on. There's always room for improvement. I think what we've already accomplished to date is we're very proud of what's been done. But as you can imagine, the number of opportunities for the students here is not significant, and I think one of the challenges for Fernando is getting more companies in the energy sector to come along to SPE meetings. And we do have a benefit here, because in Perth there are 14 or 15 different energy clubs, societies and associations, and I think SPE is the only one in Timor Leste to actually establish both a professional section and a student chapter here. So we have that opportunity, like in, there's Society of Underwater Technologists that do the subsea stuff. Well, there's no SUT section here in Timor Leste, so hopefully we have the subsea people come to the SPE meeting.
It's very nice. It's been really exciting discussion around the SP professional. So as you mentioned that you've been trying to get as much as possible for as many as possible for the students to join. So let's hear for the young professional here as a president of SP student chapter. Would you mind just explain, probably some of the students haven't know about this as students chapter. Can you explain a student chapter and its mission in Timor Leste?
Basically, Society Petroleum Engineers Student Chapters is like a global organization that connect the students with the professional from the oil and gas industry. It includes all of the members from across 146 countries. It means the main mission of the SPE. It's to bridge the gap between the university life with the professional career through three key goals: spreading the industry knowledge, supporting the academic and technical excellence, and the last one is the building the technical skills.
That's fantastic. I think having international SPE professional here, do you think is really supporting your student chapter in Timor Leste?
Yeah, I think it's really supporting our student chapter because like after most of the student chapter member after graduate, they didn't know what to do, like Mr. Steve and Mang Nando mentioned. They didn't know what to do, and by joining this professional section, like it's same as the student chapter, but it's in another level, so they can still connected with the professional in the industry, both international or regional.
So I'm pretty sure that there will be so much benefit on that. So what benefits do students gain from joining this SPE, and how has the response been so far?
By joining SPE, like student can unlock several benefits. The first one is networking with the professional from the industry. Also, they can compete in the globally or regionally for the competition, like student paper competition, and also there is one Petro Ball quiz. They can access to the online libraries of the One Petro journal. They can learn about the latest energy technologies around the world, and also SPE offers the scholarship and fellowship for the students.
Okay. Did you see any the difference before and after joining the SPE in terms of the confidence level of presenting yourself as a petroleum engineering race?
Yeah, I do see that because before joining petroleum engineering, before joining Society of Petroleum Engineers, Society Petroleum Engineers, I didn't have so much activities to do. After joining the SPE, first as a member, like the SPE held so many seminars. They brought so many speakers from around the world, not only from the Timor Leste. And also after joining as an officer, that really helped me boost my confidence and help me expand my professional career for the next future.
That's fantastic. Can you share some activities the student chapter has organized?
As Mr. Steve said, the major activity is the technical meeting that we have been held from 2003 until now, 2026. There we host about 12 seminars, and also we have the seminar featuring the local energy industry, and we also do the community services by the activity like beach cleanup, We also do the socialization to the high school,
Mhm.
secondary students. And we also just held the academic competition a few weeks ago about the digital world journal competition.
That sounds fantastic. Are there any upcoming events or initiative that students should look forward to?
The upcoming event, I think that we are going to hold the workshop with the Society of Petroleum Engineering in Petronas, student chapter in Petronas. They asked us to join them to hold the workshop, and also we are going to do some workshop with the Society of Petroleum Engineer in the Jakarta University, Indonesia.
Okay.
They held the society student chapter development workshop.
It is clear that the chapter is very providing invaluable experiences. So how can students get involved if they want to join?
I think it's really easy because you only do the online registration, and also it's free for all the students in Timor Leste because it get pay and sponsored by the Chevron. You student from the engineering, management, or the geology or geoscience background, they can join freely in the SPE website. And also after joining, I think they can feel all the benefits from the SPE.
Is there any social media platform available for people to know more about this SPE chapter? Do you have social media platform?
Yeah, we do for SPE student chapter in Timor Leste. We do in the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or linking also.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So as we wrap up, because it's very, I still want to talk about it because the timing. So just want to know what advice would you give to students if they want to joining SPA, and what are the benefits of this membership? I know that you've been mentioning this a lot, but try to keep it as simple as possible for them to.
If you thinking on joining the SPE, just joining immediately because it's free. It's free, and also after joining, you get lots of opportunity to meet all around different people, the professional from the industry, and also you get a chance to travel to another country, and also you get a free access to the technical library, like as I mentioned, One Petro.
That's fantastic. Now back to Mr. Fernando. As the first chairman of the SPE Timor Leste professional section, what message do you have for young engineers and geoscientists?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, SPE it's a great opportunity for people to connect to each other. So I would like to encourage everyone, particularly for the young engineers, to join the SPE. As shared in today's session, a lot of benefit you can obviously achieve or obtain from this particular platform. So I would encourage and welcome those young professionals to join the SPE.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to add, Mr. Steve?
Just briefly,
any thought?
This is we're May 26th now, and the student chapter was formally established in May 23. Exactly 3 years. It's gone really quickly, but it's actually been a remarkable journey. And if we can continue that trajectory, I think there's a lot of positivity and hope for the Timorese students, and hopefully we can maintain that momentum and go forward with other like workshops, internships. Perhaps one of the big things we do in Western Australia is the section organizes mentoring activities. So we try to find mentors in industry, and then we assign a student to them. And so the professional will mentor the students. That gives them additional guidance through their transition from being a student into a young professional.
Agree.
So to me, it's been a great journey, and that journey will continue, and there's a lot of hope for the future.
Thank you very much. This is the end of the discussion, and it is so exciting, and it's being pleasure to learn about the significant achievement of the SPE itself, both in professional and student chapter in Timor Leste. So we hope this conversation encourages more students to get involved, embrace these opportunities, and help shape a sustainable energy future. Until next time, and see you.